ask you this, because I think about the business. There's so much I want to ask you. So did you guys merch panties on the tour?
We thought about it, and at the time, I had a merchandise company that said that they said it's just beyond our capacity. We can't do it. But I thought about it. But through the Netflix, I signed a deal with Vanity Fair Lingerie, and I'm selling their panties, and they're and let me tell you how precious this is. They're in partnership with me because this new tour is called the Just Getting Started tour, because I feel like I'm just getting started at 57 and a grandmama. And they love the fact that I didn't quit. I persevered. That a woman in her 50s, her life is not over. That anything is possible. To keep going. And if you have a dream, to keep dreaming and doing that. So they're going to give money. I think they're going to do it with 6 women. They're going to give them seed money to start whatever they want to start in midlife. Isn't that sweet? And we're going to do it at my shows. We're going to they were going to take applications, and they're going to give women the opportunity to, if they want to go back to school, if they want to start a business, whatever.
Once again, I go back to these conversations that we had. I don't know if you remember, I would talk to you about, okay, you can have this partnership and this merch deal and this sponsorship and I'm watching all this stuff kind of play out, and I'm so proud of you. Now I want to do a deeper dive into your content. What I thought was genius was you took us on a tour of your family. Like, the arc of your special is family. And you touched every point of your family. Your little daddy, your mother, Chuck, every one of your daughters, your son, your grandbaby. You literally wove an arc that touched every one of your family members, and then you brought them all on stage, which I thought was genius. Was that the design? Because here's the thing that I wanted to say to you, to your face, and this may make you take to the bed, as you say. I'm not buying the "aw shucks, I don't know what I'm doing" thing. I think you are a genius comedy mind and a genius storyteller. I don't buy it. I don't buy, it just kind of, I see too much design. Am I wrong about that?
Oh, you angel. Well, I didn't.
Just tell the truth.
I didn't get a high score on my ACT. I'll just tell you that. And I'm so worried that's going to be uncovered.
Just tell me the truth.
But I do. I guess I do. Now that I've been doing this 22 years, I guess you're right. I do.
Did I read the thread properly?
I do a thread. Yes, I do. And if you go back in all my material, the few times I was filmed over the years, I always talk about every child, about their daddy. So I do. Like when I wrote this new hour, I've got a whole new hour now from Just Getting Started tour. There is a theme. There is there's a way that I do it.
There's a structure. Mm-hmm. You have a thing.
Mm-hmm. And through this tour, this new 100 cities, I'll add, I'll subtract things something will pop that I'll think, oh, that's so much funnier, and I'll leave out this part that's not getting enough, response. So yeah, it'll take me a while to perfect it, and I'll never say perfected. It won't be perfect, but I'll do that. But I worked on that hour. It scared me to death, because they said once this Netflix special airs,
yeah, it's gonna be.
You cannot say any of that. You got to do a whole new hour,
right? Because
the dry bar thing, which I couldn't do any of that either. But this scared me to death, and they said we're going to put you in LA and Southern California. In clubs all around, because if it can work in California, it's going to boom out in the middle of the country. So they put me in all these cities, and I was in 8 hotels in 4 weeks, and it scared me to death. And I thought, how am I going to come up with a new hour? I've been doing this for 18 months, and my children, it's my life, and now what am I going to, and then, but I worked it out in clubs, and now, I've got it. I've got the hour, but I'll
now
tweak
it's time to fine tune it. All right. In part 2 of this interview, I want to talk to you about comedy, but I want to talk to you about this Netflix deal, because we haven't talked about that yet.
Okay.
My guest is Leanne Morgan. I'm not buying it, by the way. I don't want to blow your cover, but I'm not buying it. She's a genius comedian, great friend. My guest on Anything Is Possible.
There's 2 things on this earth that make him happy: a clean house and sex. Oh, lucky me. He said, well, if you don't start taking care of my needs, I guess I'm going to have to get a girlfriend. I said, oh, dear Lord, say it's not so. I said, well, make sure that she's stout and that she can mow, because I need some help. He came to me in, he was in middle school or high school, and he's very spiritually mature, has always been. I didn't do it. Their daddy didn't do it. God did it. But we call him our little Billy Graham. But anywho, so he was dating a little girl, and he came home, and I said, what y'all been doing? And he said, we've been watching a movie, and we were kissing. I said, oh, that's normal. That's okay. But I said, baby, before you know it, one thing can get out of hand. You've got your arm around somebody, and then you've got your hand on her leg. Things can get out of control. He looked at me like I was crazy. And he said to me, Mom, I've prayed about this. Nothing like that's going to happen. And I know he meant that. And all I could think of to myself was some of the nastiest things I ever did. Was at the Adams United Methodist Youth Fellowship. On a hayride. I don't know what it was about hay that set me on fire. I wish it did now. I could get a new purse out of that. Do y'all know what I'm talking about? Youth groups. And we've all, here in the South, we've all been raised in church, Did y'all ever go to a lock-in? What little fool came up with that? Y'all know that it was some precious little woman maybe, and they were like, they were in a committee meeting, and she was like, oh gosh, y'all, we need to come up for something for all the hormonal teenagers. I know. We'll put them in the church building and lock the door and turn the lights out and leave them there all night. Maybe somebody will end up pregnant. And I believe that God allows this when your children get in about, junior, senior in high school, because he knows that you're grieving, because they're going to leave. And he knows that you're going to take to the bed over it. So, their junior and senior year, something happens. And they change on you. And they get to be the meanest people you've ever been around. So by the time they're ready to leave, you kick their crap out onto the curb. Her junior year, this started, okay, the very breath that I breathed out of my nostrils made her so angry. We were not allowed to eat cereal in our own home. because she couldn't stand to hear us chew. And I don't mean to talk about her because she had a lot on her. She had a lot on her, like she had to empty the dishwasher. And that's a lot, you know. I'll give y'all an example. Okay, at the University of Tennessee in her sorority, these girls will come home, you know, and I'll cook for them and do, and I'm tickled. All right, well, they like Memphis, Nashville girls. Well, a little girl came home with her and spent 2 nights. So I washed that little thing's clothes, and all I said to this little girl was, Katie, you're so tiny. Your little underwear looks like a slingshot. My panties looked like... Have y'all ever seen Mel Gibson in Braveheart? You know when they pull that big ball out and that thing looks like it's a catapult. They pull that big ball, fling it, and kill a bunch of children with it. That's what my panties look like. Do y'all know who owns Victoria's Secret? I used to buy my panties at Victoria's Secret, but they started cutting me in two. All right. Do y'all know who, seriously, do y'all know who owns it? Satan. Okay, let me tell y'all that my middle one, we go and get spray tans together. And I love them, and I feel thinner in them. If you're going through a hard time, go get a spray tan. Makes you feel like a movie star. Okay, well, we went the other night, and this is the difference for you young mamas out there. Like, women going like in your 20s and 30s and even in your 40s when you still are, you know, have life left in you. Okay, there's something happens to you when you're in your 50s, and it is wonderful. You don't care, okay? You don't care about anything. All right. We go to get a spray tan, and y'all know about Snapchat. There's a thing called Snapchat where you can video somebody and send it to your friend. Okay. Or send it out to the world, I guess. All right. I'm completely naked with a plastic bag on my head. In the spray tanning thing, and it's like a car wash. It does this. And then you do... And then you do, and then you do. Okay. And when it's cold outside, it feels like needles going in you. It's so cold. Oh, that's awful. But anyway, she started filming me on Snapchat, completely nude. Now, in my 30s and 40s, I would have been hysterical, and I would have been in a bowl, and I would have been so torn up. In your 50s, at first I was like, and then I was like, I don't care. I think I may have gone. I don't care. I don't care. It's a wonderful feeling. I hope y'all can all get to that one day where you don't care. Honey, it's wonderful. Bathing suit season, Lord. I've always worn a miracle suit, and I'll talk about that in just a minute, but I did a show for a group here in Knoxville, and they were darling. And after I did it, a woman came up to me and she goes, Leanne, are you not going to Sears and buying you a swim dress? And I thought, well, I didn't know my life was over. So she said, you need to go to Sears or order it online with Land's End. And it's a swim dress. She goes, you're going to love it. I promise you. Okay, so I go to Sears at West Town Mall. When's the last time any of y'all went to Sears at West Town Mall? There's not a soul in the West Town Mall Sears. They've got the lights on. There's nobody working. There's nobody there shopping. I swear, I think they're running dope out of Sears. But I got me a swim dress, and I am beautiful in it. And I'll tell you why, because it shows my arms. My arms, the only thing I've got left living for. And they are my daddy's. Jimmy Fletcher, I got them from him. My sister gets so mad because she didn't get them, and she'll call me and say, "You got daddy's arms," and just hang up on me. But this swim dress, okay, it cinches up through here, so it's real flattering right there. And then it comes down and hides all this boogity-boo I got going on right here. And I am beautiful in it. I hate to say that. It kind of looks like Titanic, but for years I wore a miracle suit. Okay, the miracle suit is in Dillard's and Bell, Macy's, or all over. And there'll be hundreds of them in a big area at a department store. And there's a tag hanging from all of them that says, "Miracle Suit. Lose 10 pounds in 10 minutes. And you do, because you sweat yourself to death trying to get it on. Because the Miracle Suit has a girdle in it. They're one piece. So the girdle is right through here, so it smooths you out real pretty through here. You look really good because it squeezes your fat out in all the other directions, all the other holes. And I would buy it because I felt desperate and I didn't know what else to do. And I didn't feel pretty in them, and then I'd buy a sarong and wrap it around my whole body, and then sit under an umbrella and act like I was reading. But I bought them every year. I had them all the time, and I look back in videos from vacations, and I've got them on, and it's awful. Okay, so my girlfriend, the one with poop, you remember her? Okay, she found out that I had one. She was like, "Oh my gosh, I want one." So she drove down from Greenville, Tennessee, and they went to the Dillards. And she brought her 14-year-old daughter with her, and they got in the dressing room at Dillard's, and the 14-year-old was sacking her mama up in this bathing suit. And her 14-year-old said, "Mom, this is so gross." "Put it back, let's get out of here." She said, "I can't, I've got to buy it, I just peed in it." My baby child, is 20 and lives in Knoxville. Okay, years ago, we wanted all these children to play sports, to keep them off of dope. And so they played all this stuff, all of them did, and my husband's 6'4", I'm 5'8", we breed big kids, so and say, "Can she be the goalkeeper for our soccer team? I'll get her an iPhone." Yeah. "Can she play basketball for us? She never played basketball." And y'all, I lived through her. And I made her do it. And I felt like LeBron James's mama. And so she came to me and she goes, "I'm sick of this. I'm not going to do it anymore. I'm not going to play all this mess." She goes, "I've decided that I want to cheer." And I said, "Well, baby, we're big people. And I said, we don't tumble, but I'll figure something out." Well, all over the United States, they've got this thing called competition cheer. And it's kind of like, if you don't know what that is, it's kind of like Honey Boo Boo meets the Olympics, really. It's gymnast. They're gymnasts. And there's one in Knoxville called the Sharks. And they said, drop your baby off and she can try out to audition, whatever you want to call it. So I dropped her off and they ended up putting her on a bad mamma jamma team because all the little children her age came up to hear on her. And somebody's got to throw them up in the air. So they were thrilled with her and they treated us like royalty. But anyway, they said, you're going to come in here twice a week, learn a 2-minute routine. It's going to cost you $150 a month. It's like, okay. They said, there's a uniform that you're going to order, and it comes to here. It's going to expose her stomach. She's going to have a tiny skirt on with a slit in it with a glitter panty underneath it. It's $300. I said, that's a whore outfit. And it came with its own bag of whore makeup. So that all the little children could look alike. And they said, y'all are going to travel to faraway lands and compete against other little whore children. So we went to like Cincinnati or Atlanta. And we had to get hotel rooms and the gas and all of that. And then you drive up to a big coliseum, a huge coliseum. And there's tens of thousands of little whore children walking around. And my husband said, there could be pedophiles here. This is the awfulest thing I've ever, something's not right. Okay, so then they said, you're going to pay $150 for your baby to be in this competition. You're going to have to pay $30 to put a band on to get in and watch your baby in this competition. Somebody was selling corn dogs for $15. Okay. They start out with the babies, so it goes from 5 to 18 ages. So the babies come out in a tiny little skirt about the size of a napkin. And they come out to Beyonce's All the Single Ladies. And their little mamas are in their 20s. And they're not bitter yet. And they're in the front doing every move to keep their baby on track because they're babies and they need to be at home breastfeeding. So they move up throughout the day into my baby's age, and they're the reef sharks. They call out that name, honey, for 2.5 minutes. My baby throws little children up in the air, flinging little children, broken out in a sweat, working like a Trojan. Did you see my Spanx? Okay. I also wanted to not wear my glasses. And I love my glasses, and I think I look cute in my glasses. But when I'm on stage like this, they look very filthy through them, and I can't see people. And so I have now mastered contacts. But for years, it took me years to do that. And my precious, yummy doctor is out in Farragut, and his name is Dr. Charles Shield, the senior. The little yummy thing is in his 80s. He's about this tall. He wears, it looks like homemade blue jeans. I know they're not, but... And he wears them up under his little armpits. And he's so yummy. And he loves Cheesecake Factory. And he loves mango, cheesecake. I could eat his lips off. Okay, so I go in there and he goes, Leanne, you're going to have power on top and reading on the bottom, because I'm 51. And so I was like, okay, but I want some contacts because I want to, be hip and be able to wear. So that little thing straddled me for 30 minutes. We wallered each other and wallered each other. I thought, are we going to have to get married? And he said, I can't do it, Leanne. You keep shutting your eyelid, and I can't get in there to your eyeball. And you would think that I could touch my own eyeball. I mean, I've had 3 children 2 different ways. I've been through some crap, so you'd think that I could touch my own eyeball. So I go home, and my husband used to wear them, but he had LASIK, and he said, I'll put those contacts in your eyeballs. And I thought, if he touches my eyeball, he'll want to touch something else. And I am so tired. And so my middle one, who's at the University of Tennessee, okay, she wears them. And so she has been helping me get them in now for the past couple of years, and has to take them out for me, and we have to meet halfway. And she'll say, I've got a paper due. And I'll say, I'm so sorry, but I'm paying for everything. So, could you meet me at a gas station? She literally has met me in the bathroom, in a public bathroom, and like leaned me over the toilet and had to get them out. Okay, we went to Florida. And I wanted to be able to wear contacts. I didn't want to be on the beach and like wear my readers and then, you know, my glasses and look like a jeweler and then, you know, my sunglasses. So I put contacts in. We were in this outdoor thing, like shopping thing, where I was buying her something. I was actually buying her something. And I said, something doesn't feel right. This is hurting so bad. And she went, oh, Mom, you got 2 in your right eye. And she went and just grabbed it out of my eye. And she's like, what do you want me to do with it? I said, I don't know, butthole. Just leave it on the ground. Let me tell you about my family. I have my husband. We live in Knoxville, Tennessee. I have my husband. Thank you. Well, I have my husband and my 3 grown children. I have a 25-year-old boy that's married to a darling little girl. And then I have my 22-year-old daughter and then my 20-year-old daughter, and she's still in Knoxville with us. And so these children grew up and left me with their daddy. And he is so not fun. And so he doesn't chat. And so I'm just at home talking to myself. And we've got 2 beagles. And we miss these children so bad that we just sit and kiss them in the mouth. So I'm trying to adjust to just being with their daddy. And so I bought him tickets to go see Def Leppard and Journey. Woo! Okay, let me tell you. Have y'all been to concerts lately with old people that are older than I am? Okay. We went, and I thought, oh, we're going to have a fun date. And I said, where are we going to go out to eat? And he goes, I don't have time for that. It was on a weeknight. So he went to the Pilot and bought himself a tall boy. And I think that's what it's called, and an egg salad sandwich from the Pilot. And so I didn't get to eat, and I was so hungry. And it dawned on me at a concert. You know, when I was 20 and I'd go to a concert, I was at University of Tennessee, and so I'd go to Thompson Bowling. And I'd wear a crop top. And I didn't care about eating. I wasn't hungry, you know. I was thinking what boys were going to be there, and I had on little bitty breeches. Because I still had a metabolism and my thyroid was acting right. Okay. So we go to Def Leppard and Journey, and everybody there is our age. And everybody's worried about the snack bar, first of all. And I was too. And I was so hungry, and I noticed that people had big Diet Cokes, like big buckets of Diet Coke, and were sucking on those big buckets of Diet Coke while the concert was going on, and every once in a while, somebody would stand up and then they'd sit back down. Journey issues. His hair was just thin and didn't have a lux to it, and then I noticed he had little bitty tiny legs and a little pot-belly stomach. But he sang "Put Some Sugar on It," which I hate that mess. I am a Earth, Wind, and Fire R&B gal, and I love my Journey, but I was like, this isn't my thing. And my husband every once in a while would go, and then just sit down, because he loves it. But anyway, this little man with the tiny little legs and the thinning hair, and then he had this little bump right here, and I could tell that's a hernia. He's got a hernia. That he hadn't had time to get it fixed. He hadn't had time to put a mesh in. And you could just see it. It looks like my stomach, because I've had a hernia, but I've had mine fixed. And I thought, oh, bless his heart. But he'd do, and he'd prop a little thin, frail leg up on something. Oh, I thought, isn't it funny how things have changed since I went to concerts when I was 20? Everybody was walking out like this because everybody had inflammation in their feet. Trying to get to their car. And it was like 10 o'clock. I thought, what are we doing out here? What are we doing? We gotta get home. We gotta get in the bed. Everywhere I go, I ask, do you think it's easier to raise girls or boys? And people say boys. And we love our girls. We love our girls. I'll give you all an example. I'll be in the pickup line since she's been in kindergarten and now she's in 8th grade. Every day I get to go thank the Lord and pick them up from school. And I'm sitting in my minivan. All right, I'm watching them come out. And they are in a good mood. I saw it. And they're goosing each other and see you tomorrow. Okay. Then they come over my minivan. Get in, shut the door. My 8th grader take her backpack, sling it, and hit me in the back of the head with it. Every day she says something like this. I'm starving to death. You don't have a piece of cheese in this car? Your driving's making me car sick. I hate her. Why'd you have her? And then my baby will be sitting up in the back and she'll be going, Mama, 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 Mama. What? Mama, Mama. What? I'm listening. What is it? One time she said to me, she can say some of the craziest things, that baby can. She said, did Jesus ever have head lice? I said, well, Lord, I don't know, honey, but if he did, I know he healed it. And then they'll be whipping each other in the back seat and squalling and fighting, and I hate you and I wished you were dead. And then my sweet boy would come out and say something like, you know, they're building a new Home Depot up on 281. Just as happy-go-lucky. I'm tickled to death to be here in Austin. It's one of my favorite places.
Kumbaya. Kumbaya. Got all my young, hip people over here. Feel good. Not dragged down by a bunch of kids. Look, woo! She feels good. Date night, fun. Oh, y'all. Some of y'all are looking at me like, we've been stuck in the house all week in that ice. And now we bought tickets to hicham. Yep, you did. I'm from Knoxville, Tennessee, but I feel very connected to Texas people because I lived in San Antonio for 3 years, and about 3 years ago, and Davy Crockett. I have to mention that every time because of Davy Crockett, the Tennessee Volunteers, all those boys, we saved y'all. I'll tell y'all a little bit about myself. My husband and I met in college while he was stalking me. I think y'all know what I'm talking about, don't you? He was so tickled with me. He was on fire for me. That he bought me presents for no reason, no special occasion. You boys know what he was after, don't you? I think you young boys call it milkshake. He wanted up in my yard to get my milkshake. He got it, okay? I married him, had 3 children by him. Things change when you've been married 100 years, doesn't it, girl? Now I have to give birth to get a pair of earrings. Vaginal trauma, fine jewelry. Okay, it's a deal. My husband and I were at the University of Tennessee not long ago, and what we're going to do and the glamour. Well, we graduated, and he decided to buy a used mobile home business in Bean Station, Tennessee. Is this thing on? I said a used mobile home business. Do y'all know where Bean Station, Tennessee is? Oh, it's at the foothills of the Appalachian Mountains. Have you ever seen Deliverance? Maybe you young people have seen Sling Blade. Because I know y'all ain't watched Deliverance. Well, he moved me up there. And I think I've got cedar fever. You think that ice would have killed it. But anyway, what was I saying? He moved me up there, and he wanted me to be in sales for him in the mobile home business. So I did that day. Until I saw a family drive up in a Gremlin with the window down and a 9-year-old smoking a cigarette. She lit it off of her Milo. So I quit that day. And I went home and I got pregnant that night.
You made a decision not to quit.
And I tell you, my manager at the time said, Leanne, there's this company in Salt Lake City, Dry Bar. Nobody's ever heard of it. It's a clean comedy platform. Nobody's ever heard of it. I remember him saying these words to me, nobody will ever see it. But they want you to do a special. They'll pay you a couple of $1,000s. They'll give you a hotel room. You're going to be in Dubuque, Iowa, doing the Chamber of Commerce luncheon That's how bad my career was going. I was doing the Chamber of Commerce luncheon in Dubuque, which, let me say, there's some of the prettiest people in Dubuque, Iowa. I don't know who those people are. They're beautiful. But they didn't even hire me to do the nighttime thing. I was the luncheon. You know, I barely got enough money to get out there on a tiny plane with propellers at like where I thought I was going to go down. But, and he said, why don't you just scoot on out to Salt Lake City and do that, and we'll get clips. If anything, we'll get clips for you to get more Dubuque of Iowa luncheons. I'm not kidding. That's what he said to me. He had hit a wall. He didn't know what to do. And I was like, okay. And I went out there and did that dry bar thinking, this is nothing. But that I don't know, it's gotten like 50 million views. And that really didn't translate into ticket sales. Like, I still couldn't get booked in clubs. They would book me in a club, but they would say, we love her. She doesn't get drunk and fight in the parking lot, but she can't sell tickets. You know, that's what they'd say. We love her. She's sweet. Love her. Can't sell tickets. And then, so the dry bar thing, I was getting all these views and fans and stuff, but it wasn't translating into ticket sales and all that.
Yeah.
And then I said to my manager at the time, when I say that because I'm no longer with him, because I said to him, all the people that I admire, all the people that I love to watch and that I'm a fan of have got social media people. And that's the new thing. And I think I should hire these people to do my social media. And he was like, you can't afford that and you don't need to do that. And I went against him. And it was a lot of money, but I invested in myself. And you know, Helen, I've done comedy for 22 years, but I was a mama first. And every dime I made, I bought uniforms with it. I got everybody's haircut. I never invested in a website for myself. I had like 2 headshots in 20-something years because it was just, I don't know, that wasn't good business on my part, but I just put everything into my children. That was what I did. And then at this point, in 2019, I thought, I'm going to hire these and I'm going to give it 3 months. I'm going to give these young boys 3 months. And if it doesn't happen after that, I'll bow out of comedy. I knew I was going to have a grandbaby. Charlie got married right out of college. I knew they were going to have a bunch of babies. And I'm from the country. I wanted to be a meemaw. And I thought, I'll go to work at Target. I'm not kidding. I thought, I'll go to work at Target and I'll put bedding up in the back on those things. That looks fun. I really did. I thought, I'll just bow out of this.
You were about to tap out.
Yeah, I thought, I'm going to give it this. And then, because I had worked, my manager got me in some clubs. I couldn't sell tickets. I could tell they were like, oh, she's one of those dry bar comics. Like I was really not a legit comic. And you know, over the years, like Comedy Central wouldn't have anything to do with me. You know, I would get no's from all of them. And so I thought, maybe I'm not legit. I mean, maybe this is it. This is the end of the road. And they put out one video about me taking Chuck Morgan to go see Def Leppard and Journey at Thompson Bowling Arena. And I talked about how, and I had filmed that. I had never done that bit before. I did it one time in Chattanooga. Somebody got it on film. Those boys put it out. And I've talked about old people at concerts and how everybody had plantar fasciitis and was worried about the snack bar. And everybody there is our age. And every once in a while, somebody would stand up and then they'd sit back down. And it went viral. And it was like a fire. Somebody lit a fire, and I could feel it. I could feel it in a wave go through my body. I knew what was happening. I was in New York City. We were moving my baby into school she went to school for makeup for television and film. We were in a tiny hotel room, and I said, I think something is happening. And Chuck said, the Uber's here. Get the luggage and let's get out. You know, everybody was worried about moving her in her apartment. And but in my heart, I thought, oh my gosh, something is happening. And I could feel it, physically feel it. Does that make sense? I physically felt something. I thought, oh my gosh, I knew it. I saw thousands of people sharing. Well, people saw that and started looking at everything else that I had online that liked that. And then my manager called and said, they want to book you back in Orlando. They want to book you in Tampa. They want you to come to Chicago and I started selling out all over the United States. It happened I'm not kidding, in 2 to 3 weeks, my life changed. Is that not the craziest thing? It's so much more special and wonderful than anything I ever thought it was going to be.
The reason I'm sitting here and just absorbing what you're saying, and hopefully not stepping on what you're saying, is because I saw it happen. And I'm so proud of you for not quitting.
Thank you.
Right?
Thank you.
For not giving up, for believing in the possibility. So it starts to happen. 100-city tour?
Yes. So I was selling out all over the United States in comedy clubs. One-nighters, and then and people were lined up, and these comedy club people were like, "Where have you been? Your audience is the best audience we've ever seen. They're not rowdy. We don't have to calm anybody down. They're not fighting. It would be," and this is what was special, it would be a grandmama, like an 80-year-old woman who's never been to a comedy club. Her daughter, 50, and then her daughter, like 25. And they said, "We've never seen this before." And I would see these little elderly people sitting in the front row with a little brooch on coming to a comedy club. and I'd think, I can't even believe this. And I really messed with my head, and I thought, I need to go home with every one of them and clean their house and make them a casserole. I really did. And put in a load of wash, because they're coming out and doing this for me. Because it had been years, where I could not, comedy clubs, I worked comedy clubs like 5 or 6 a year would book me, but most of them were like, I didn't come up in them, so they didn't want me. So anyway, that was all crazy. And then my agent called me. My manager begged somebody to take me as an agent. I was selling out all over the United States, and they still didn't want me. And I don't know if it's because I was a 50-something-year-old woman from Tennessee. I don't know what it was, but they had to beg a guy, like a favor, can you take her as her agent? And so he took me, sweet young guy, and they call me and they go, Outback Concerts out of Nashville, Tennessee, which I've known Mike Smartack and Brian Dorfman for 20 years. I've always wanted to be in business with them. They did the Blue Collar Tour, and they do all the comedians that you've ever loved. Called me and they said, we want to give you a 50-city tour. Put it on sale, sold out. They said, we're going to give you another 50. So that was the 100-city tour, and I named it the Big Panty Tour. So this baby, let me tell y'all about her. I have treated her different from all the other ones, honey, because, all right, everything that she'd do, like she'd start crying when she's a baby, because babies, the third, fourth, and fifth, they cry, and you just let them. And I'd be like, what's she crying about? She wants your toy? Well, just give it to her. I can't deal with it. I remember saying one time, you want those knives to play with? Okay. What? Okay. When she was getting her driver's license, so different from when the first one got his. Honey, he got his, and we were so strict with him. We'd say, you can go to school, but you got to call us when you get there. You can only come home. And then after 6 months, we were like, you can go to Steak and Shake. And then you got to come home. So strict. Then the second one didn't care anything about driving, really didn't start till she was close to 17. Well, this baby wanted hers the day she turned 16. I didn't think she was going to pass it because she doesn't care. So, but she did because she's smart. All right, let me tell you, she's one of those kids that, I know y'all know people like this. Like if I gave her $20 and said, make it to New York tonight, she would do it and have money left over. Like she's, people like that, like got it up. Okay. So she passed that test. I was so mad because I thought, I'm not going to have a baby in the car with me anymore, even though when they're in middle school and high school, isn't that aggravating? When they turn that radio up and it's blasting and I don't like that song and booming and a-doing. And then I'm trying to drive and I feel like when I can't hear, I can't see. Oh, I don't know. It's awful. But she went and got that darn driver's license, and this is how different it was raising her from the first one and the second one. She got that driver's license. My husband and I were sitting there at night, and he said, "Where is she?" And I said, "I don't know." And he said, "Does she have any money?" And I said, "I don't know." Nobody ever said another word. All right, I know you boys have been waiting for me to talk about my panties. I know, calm down. You know, I named this the Big Panty Tour. I've done 100 cities. This is winding it down. Thank you. Thank y'all. Thank y'all. And people ask me all the time, "Why'd you name this Big Panty Tour?" And I tell people, I like big panties. Big panties say to me, freedom. Comfort. I was wearing these tiny panties for years, and they were cutting me in two. I thought, who are these for? Little children? I love, boys, are y'all watching? I love a high-cut brief. I love a high-cut brief, and I like it to come over my stomach. Thank you. Thank you. And the kind that I wear are called Vanity Fair lingerie. Beyond comfort. Beyond comfort. And they are soft and luxurious, and they don't ride up. They stay out of my crack. I don't want anything in my crack. I know, love them, okay. But I want you boys to know that I've held on to some tiny little hateful panties. I've kept them in a drawer, and I get those out every once in a while in case some bills need to get paid, you know what I'm saying? Yeah, that's biblical. So I found out in the United States there's called competition cheer. And we have it here in Knoxville. It's called the Sharks. Premier Sharks. So I dropped her off so that she could audition or try out or whatever you call it for that. And she came out, ended up making like a bad Mama Jamma squad because all the little children her age came up to here on her, and somebody's got to throw them up in the air. So they said, "Oh my gosh, we want her so bad." And they said, you're going to drop her off 2 days a week, and she's going to learn this 2.5-minute routine, and it's going to cost you $150 a month. And I said, okay. And then they said, there's a uniform that we're going to order for her, and it's sequin up the sleeves, and it comes to right here, and it's going to expose her stomach, and then it's going to have a tiny little skirt with it, with a slit in it, with a glitter panty underneath it. And that's $300. And it comes with its own bag of makeup and a bow. And I called it a whore outfit. And that little bag of whore makeup made all the little children look like whores together. And they said, y'all are going to travel to faraway lands. And you're going to compete against other little whore children. So we drove to Atlanta and Cincinnati and places like that. And we'd drive up to a big coliseum that would be pitch black in it. And there would be music pumping and lights, and there'd be a darling feminine boy announcing. And there would be tens of thousands of little whore children walking around. And they would say, you and your husband need to pay $150 for her to be in this competition. And you each need a armband that costs $30 to get in to see your baby in this competition. The corn dogs cost $15. The reason why I'm so in love with him, he's an old soul. Have y'all ever known anybody that was just born an old soul? He was born an 80-year-old man. All right, let me tell y'all why I say that. He has had a garden since he was in middle school. He has just always loved to learn and had all these nifty things that he's been into. Like he raised chickens. He was in Berry College. They have enterprises, business enterprises, and he started the Cage-Free Egg Enterprise. He raised 200 chickens while he was in college. Do y'all want to know what I was doing at the University of Tennessee in the 80s? I mean, let's just get it out of the way. Have I made out with anybody in here? Anybody? I was in terrible sin. And I was down at Gabby's on the Strip. I don't know if any of y'all remember that Sodom and Gomorrah. I was dancing to Prince, but anywho. So anyway, all right, so he had his own garden. He now cans his own food. He can can food. Are y'all listening to me? He loved gospel bluegrass in high school. Honey, that's his favorite music that he loved. So I brought him to Dr. Ralph Stanley. I don't know if y'all remember Dr. Ralph. He just passed away, 90-something years old, godfather of Mountain. So I brought my son to the Bijou to see him. They propped little Dr. Ralph up on stage. Looked like he had a permanent. Almost threw my panties at him because that's what you do at Tom Jones. Anywho, so we're sitting out in the audience while Dr. Ralph was up here singing, and I thought, how many teenage boys are listening to this? Gospel bluegrass. What are they listening to, real teenage? You know, all right, Walk a Flock of Flame. Rihanna, Lady Gaga, all that nasty goings on. I thought, wouldn't it be funny if I had to yell at my boy, turn that gospel bluegrass down. You're out of control. If I hear I saw the light one more time,